Hi, I'm Heinbach. Good to have you back. During Christmas dinner, my brother-in-law asked me if I do these end-of-year list kind of videos that he sees all over YouTube. And initially I got a bit defensive because I thought, oh, that's not the kind of content that I do. But then I thought about it a bit more and I realized that this would be a perfect opportunity for me to talk a bit about the gear that you asked me a lot of questions about and that I've used a lot. So I assembled a list of 7 instruments and pieces of gear that all came out in 2018 and have inspired me greatly. Let me say in advance that some of these instruments were given to me by the respective companies. I will note when that is the case. The first piece of gear is probably no surprise for anyone who follows my channel. It's the Koma Field Kit Effects. I've used the prototype of this back in the November of 2017, but it only came out this year, and I've been enjoying the released version that I got for free for helping with the beta testing ever since. It's a perfect little toolset for creating experimental music, both in the studio and on the road, and you've got all in there to be basically your own radiophonic workshop. And it's not expensive, so that is a bonus. So this is the first piece of gear on my best of 2018 list. The second piece of gear is a pedal. It's the AMA by AC Noises. This lovely little pedal is both a reverb and a bit crusher. This might seem like an unusual combination, and it is. First you reverb your signal with this nice soft reverb, and then you crush everything, which is beautiful and something that I enjoy, especially when I make my C45 cassette tape ambient mixes. So this is fixed in my live setup for my odd narrative sets and in my tape DJ sets. Plus, the pink knobs and the grey color scheme absolutely look beautiful. Thank you AC Noises for sending me this. I love this pedal. Now, number 3 on the list is in this bag. And you might have seen this in some of my videos, and I made a big video on it a few months ago. These are the Morfbeats Gamelan strips. These are basically metal plates that are cut to ring in certain notes. Here I've got a C, and they sound gorgeous. I did a lot of music with these and a video where I show playing techniques, which you can check out here. I always put both hands up because I always forget where the info card pops up. Adam Morfbeats created something truly beautiful with these, and it's a dream of mine to one day work with him on an instrument. So, this is place number 3 in my end of year list. Staying on topic with acoustic instruments, here's number 4 on my list for 2018. The eKalimba by David Bellinger. There's much to love about this kalimba. The way it looks, the way it sounds, but the feature that sets it apart for me is the pickup. Basically, the whole bridge design makes this a very effective electroacoustic instrument. The output that you get out of this 1/4 inch jack is really hot and clean and clear. It does sound pristine, which is often a problem with other kalimbas that I've had. I love playing kalimbas and embiras live, and I've been using this embira by Dingus Vayu Humor from South Africa for the past 3 years. But the problem that I ran into is, how do I amplify this? I put a contact mic here, just a cheap Chinese one, and it's got a jack out, but the signal from this jack leaves a lot to be desired. So it becomes more of an effect instead of the full sound of this beautiful instrument. So when this one came along, I was super happy. It does not have the range of the big Embira, but it's clean and sounds great, and it's perfect for processing afterwards, which I'm doing mostly anyway. So this is number 4 on my list. My music this year would have sounded quite differently if it were not for this effect, which is number 5 on my list, the Bastl Thyme. Thyme and me had a bit of a rocky start. The unit that Andre of Bastl gave to me as a gift for playing 3 shows in Brno this year had a really early firmware on there. So that crashed on me as I was playing live. But once I upgraded the firmware, I realized what this machine can do. I've probably only mastered half the functions of this robot control, the digital tape machine, but what I got from that is enough. The Thyme produces a deep and breathing stereo field, and you only have to put in a little and you get a lot out of that once you learn how to work with the envelope followers and all the modulations. It's a machine that after some head scratching always gives me back more than I put in, which is something that I'm always looking for. I give it an idea and say to Thyme, "What do you think, Thyme?" And Thyme says, "Oh, I don't know, maybe try this." And then, okay, we'll go with your idea. So it's just lovely to play with. There's one feature that is probably not mentioned in many reviews, but I love it. It has a headphone out. So this is perfect use at the end of your chain if you only got a few instruments that you're playing with, as I do often. And one thing that bugs me forever is that the stereo input is this stereo jack, which means I will need an adapter cable always, and that's something that live I tend to forget. So that's the only minus point I can think about. Bastl Thyme, number 5 on my best of 2018 list. Speaking of desktop effect units, number 6 is another one of those. It's the Oto Machines Boum. This is marketed as a warming unit, which is probably the one thing that I don't need. I use tape, I use analog synthesizers, and the Seattle Coco Quantus, which I love to play and play live makes everything sound warmer already by itself. But the one thing that I need live is a compressor, for two reasons. First of all is to shape the sound. The Seattle Plumbutter that I love to play is soft. It produces soft bass drums, which are nice, but sometimes you want a bit more body. So a compressor can fix that. The second reason is protection. If I patch something wrong and there's suddenly a loud noise, the compressor will catch that, instead of it going straight through the PA into the ears of the audience and making their faces and ears melt, which is something I really don't want to do. So a compressor is essential for me. I used the Bug brand stereo compressor in that role, but that thing, as beautiful as it is a bit too big, especially for my carry-on, so I couldn't take it with me as much as I like. I have a FMR Arianet A compressor, the small one, which also works well, doesn't sound as nice, and it's a little more fiddly to adjust. So when the Boum came out, I was immediately interested in the compressor. But then I realized it also has a low-pass filter, and it has a drive, and it has a dry-wet mixer, and even a noise gate in there, and a low-cut also, which I don't really need. But this whole package is just unbeatable in what it can do. The compressor is easy to set and forget. It's not as, let me say, finely adjustable as the Bug brand compressor, which is king in that regard, especially to its large chicken head knobs. But it works and it sounds good, and it really grips the signal tightly, which I like. I don't tend to use the drive only as an effect, for example, when I put something in a big reverb space and then crush it and then overdrive it. And just something that is live a lot of fun. Trust me on that. If you see me live, you might hear that kind of thing. And the high cut is perfect for use with something like the Seattle Coco Quantos, which it's 8-bit delays, which are a bit noisy. So I can filter them a bit and make it a bit easier on the ears, or decide when it should go brizzle brazzle on the ears and when it should be smoother. So this whole package has made me so happy. I've played this live a lot and it's done me well so far. Boum, number 6 on my best of 2018 list. Last but not least, number 7 on my list, the Squarp Instruments Hermit. I've been an early user of the Squarp Hermit, the big standalone sequencer version of this, and it ties my whole studio together. It sends clock to the modular, it syncs the Tier 606 via DIN sync, and it sends MIDI to all my MIDI synthesizers. And when Squarp asked me if I wanted to try out the Hermit, I was super happy, because when they showed it to me at Super Booth, I realized it has all the playability that I love about the Pyramid, just in a smaller format, and with one special feature, 8 MIDI effects instead of the 4, which was always for me the most limiting feature on the Pyramid. Because what I love to do on the Pyramid and also in the Hermit is set up complex chains of MIDI events using chance operations, arpeggiators, scale functions, probability, and all that stuff to make generative sequences that I can completely guide using control voltage, especially in the Hermit case. Similar as with the Thyme, there's a lot of functions in there that I haven't even tried, because the first layer is so effective that I can do what I want quickly. Another cool feature of the Hermit is that it finally lets my OP1 talk to the modular, and the sequences on here are brilliant. By the way, I got this Deck Saver cover because these things are apparently now worth as much as a Junior 60 and even more, which is crazy. But I'm keeping this one safe. Squarp Hermit, number 7 in my top 7 list of 2018. Merci beaucoup Squarp pour le Hermod. There are a lot more instruments and gear that I would have loved to include in this list that I only discovered in 2018, but because it was not made in 2018, it would not fit. Else there would have been the Mauve, the Library of Congress C1 player, the Nagra 4.2 that is sitting right there and I can't wait to try out. But yeah, rules are the rules. I hope this list was entertaining to you and you got something out of it. If you've got a piece of gear that you loved in 2018 and you think I should check out, please write me in the comments. So that's it for this video. See you in the next one. Bye. It actually wasn't my brother-in-law, but it was the husband of my wife's sister, which is Schwibschwager in German.